Hey everyone, John Pinella here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, The Guitar, Just Because We Love It. Did you ever really want something? You dream about it, you think about it, you're sort of craving over it, you become obsessed with it. I mean, we've all been there. There's always something out there that you just really want. The problem is that a lot of the times when you finally get it, it's not exactly what you thought it was going to be. But nevertheless, the craving, the obsession, at some point, you bite the bullet if it's a big expenditure or whatever, and you get it. But then there's that letdown where you're like, not what I thought. So today, I thought I'd talk to you about the Gibson SG Standard. Now, for those of you who have been following me on this channel, you'll know that in one of my previous videos where I share my story, I talk about my obsession as a youth over the Gibson SG Standard. Most of it stemming from Pete Townsend and his, gymnastics, if you will, of jumping around the stage and the windmill and the whole 9 yards. But really it was because I thought it was the most beautiful guitar I had ever seen. And I still believe to this day that this particular instrument is the finest looking guitar that Gibson has ever made. However, it's got to be this color, right? If it's not this color, it doesn't work, at least not for me. But as I said, I still hold the SG Standard as the most beautiful guitar that I think Gibson's ever made. But that's kind of where it ends now, even though I had this obsession for most of my youth. So what happened was that when I got to the point in my life where I could go out and acquire a really good SG Standard, because if some of you recall in the previous video, I talked about the one that I bought at Jack's Music Shop in West Long Branch, New Jersey when I was in college, which was a very beat up SG, very beat up. But at the time I didn't care. It was the fact that I had one and it was this color. But the guitar was a nightmare to keep in tune. It didn't play well. It just was a mess. But I didn't care. So now here you fast forward many, many years later, and I now have what I think is one of the better ones Gibson's ever made, is the 61 SG Standard reissue, which is what this guitar is. Now, one of the things about the 61 reissue that makes it unique is the really cool pickguard. Gibson always didn't have the pickguard cut like this on their SG Standards or their SG Specials, which are the ones with the two P90 pickups. So I remember when I bought the guitar, I found it at Russo Music in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and my good friend Mike Nicosi has sold me the instrument. And I remember bringing it home thinking, okay, now I really got a good one. And I remember opening the case and I was marveling at the look that I just loved all my life and the beautiful color. Now let me be clear about something. This is a really good guitar. And it sounds great. Nothing against what Gibson's done here. The guitar sounds amazing. It's a really, really good instrument. But here's where the disappointment sunk in. So I remember pulling it out of the case and plugging it into one of my amps. And the first thing that hit me was this odd situation of where the neck joins the body, which makes everything up here. So the G chord, right, is sitting up here. But I was used to playing guitars where the G chord was kind of like here. Or if you were playing like a E major bar chord, you're here on this thing. I'm thinking I should be around here. Immediately it wasn't comfortable. I felt as if I just couldn't get comfortable. Why was everything out here? Now to make matters worse, I remember I put a guitar strap on the thing. I let it go and whoops, there it went. And I'm like, oh man, that's not cool. So I thought it was maybe the way I was wearing it. So I did it again and down the headstock went. And I remember thinking, oh boy, this isn't what I thought. So, I'm like, well, I got a bond with this thing. This is the guitar I've always wanted. I finally got a really good one. Well, the next thing that happened was typical with SG Standards, the G string was a nightmare. It just wouldn't stay in tune. Intonating the guitar, was more difficult. And what I noticed was it was really a problem with the nut. So I took it to Billy Penn. Now, for some of you who have been following my videos, you'll notice on my Mount Rushmore video, Billy Penn is one of the 4 guys on Mount Rushmore. So I took it to Billy and I said, Billy, this thing won't stay in tune. It needs a setup, but I think you're going to have to make me a brand new bone nut. And so Billy did that. And typical Billy, it's perfection. So Billy handcrafted a bone nut, cut the slots perfectly, tuning problem solved. So I remember he set the guitar up, I take it home, I'm playing it. Well, the tuning problem being solved didn't fix this stuff, didn't fix this, and I was still seriously disappointed. Now, to make matters worse, I just did not like the pickups. So this guitar came from the Gibson factory with their 57 classic humbucking pickups. I have never liked those pickups. I've had them in other Gibsons that I own. I've swapped them all out. I just don't think they sound good, to my ears. I don't like the way they sound. Back to Billy Penn I go. I said, you know what, Billy? We got to put different pickups in this thing because I'm trying like all heck, man, to bond with this guitar. So I had Bobby Popper, Tone Master Pickups, out on Long Island, New York. He's an amazing, very boutique, small pickup, basically a one-man company pickup builder, but his pickups are killer. So Bobby built me a pair of what he thinks are a PAF. What should a regular PAF sound like? Not an overwound humbucker, not an underwound, a PAF. So the pickups come in, back to Billy Penn I go, and Billy puts these pickups in the guitar. Now honestly, the pickups made an enormous difference. The guitar sort of came to life. The pickups were much brighter. There was much more articulation. And it didn't matter whether I was in the bridge position, the middle position, or the neck position. It helped. But something still wasn't right. It had that typical humbucker in the neck position muddiness, which always drives me crazy. So I remember at the time I was chatting with a friend of mine whose name is Don Miller. And Don's a heck of a guitar player here in New Jersey. And I asked him what he did with his Les Pauls and his SG around the muddiness of the neck pickup. And he said, I got a .15 pot for the tone control on the neck pickup, and obviously from RS Guitar Works, which is where I get all my pots from as well. And Don said to me, John, it's not going to solve the problem completely, but I think you're going to get that little bit extra clarity with the .15. Well, back to Billy Penn we go. I said, Billy, rip out all these pots. I want the best RS Guitar Works pots that we have or that they have. But for the tone control, for the neck humbucker, I want a .15. So Billy, of course, ordered everything, did the install. And when I went back to pick it up, Billy said to me, John, I think it's a little bit better. That muddiness slightly will always be there. But I think that .15 was a step in the right direction. So I brought the guitar home, and it definitely sounded better to me. You're never going to get rid of that slight lack of clarity in the neck pickup. But I overall thought the guitar sounded better. But here's the problem. The G chord's still here. The E bar chord major's still here. The guitar still does this when I let it go. And I still had this overwhelming sense of disappointment. And, it's been that way forever. So is this a guitar that I play all the time? Sadly, no. Now, I've used it in the band. I've played a few gigs with it. But by the end of the night, I'm weary of it, because I'm not comfortable. And this whole thing going on, I'm just like, oh man, not for me. But what's interesting about it is the guitar sounds really good. So as an example, you can hear that clarity in the neck, in the bridge pickup. It sounds really good. Even in the middle position, there's an element of clarity there, right? You can hear it. Now, in the neck pickup, you still got a little bit of muddiness. But there is some clarity there. So overall, the guitar sounds better. It sounds better, but it's not what I want, especially with the neck pickup. It's still muddy, but we're getting there, right? I may do some other tweaking to this thing. Who the heck knows? We'll find out along the way. So there you have it, right? That's the story of the SG. So here you are, you've got me from my youth, obsessing over this thing. Had to be this color. Like I said, white, black, the Pelham blue, they don't work, okay? It's gotta be red. I didn't give a damn if it was an SG Special or Standard because I love P90 pickups as much as I love humbuckers. But there were certain things I wanted. You know, one of the things about the 61 reissue, it's got a better neck profile. It's slightly thinner. It's not overly chunky like a Les Paul neck. The fingerboard, I believe, on this guitar is an 11-inch radius, so it's sort of flat, not overly flat, but string bending is easy. But I just can't bond with it. No matter what I do, no matter how much I play it, not getting there. So, will I ever sell it? Absolutely not. Do I play it? I do from time to time. But it's not a guitar that I pick up on a daily basis to play. So there you have it. You know, that's my story. Sometimes what you get is not what you thought. Sometimes what you didn't think you were going to get turns out to be amazing. So in the case of my journey over the Gibson SG Standard, it's not what I thought. Still love it. Great guitar. Don't play it every day, but it's part of the herd, as you can see behind me. It's not going anywhere, and that's kind of it. So I don't know what you guys think about what I'm doing here, but I sure would like to ask a favor. Please hit that like button. That'll help me a great deal. Please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the bell next to the subscribe button so that you'll be notified when I put up videos. I sincerely appreciate your loyalty and watching my videos. I'm enjoying doing this. There's my story about the SG. If any of you guys out there have a story about a guitar that you craved over and when you finally got it, it wasn't what you thought, put it in the comments. I'd love to see it. So until the next time, you know, as I always say, what is it about the guitar? Well, it's just because we love it. Take care, everyone. See you soon.